All right, so anyone out there who's into international relations, especially those of you prepping for the UPSC exam, you know there's this one text you can't avoid.
Oh, absolutely.
Plato's Republic.
It's a classic.
It's kind of like that massive mountain range on a map.
Daunting. Yeah.
Daunting, but you just know the view from the top is going to be amazing.
Oh, totally.
And that's where we come in.
We're going to be your guides.
We're going to be your Sherpas. We'll help you navigate those treacherous philosophical paths.
Exactly.
And we'll point out all the most incredible intellectual vistas along the way. What do you think?
I love that analogy. And you're so right. The Republic can seem really dense.
Oh, for sure.
Intimidating, even.
Yeah.
But it's a gold mine.
Especially for you UPSC folks.
Especially, yeah.
Especially those of you focusing on international relations.
It lays the groundwork for understanding things like justice, power, the nature of the state.
Like the really big stuff.
Oh, the most fundamental concepts in political philosophy. Stuff that anyone navigating diplomacy and international politics absolutely needs to know.
Okay, so let's ditch the togas and scrolls for a minute. Let's fast forward to the 21st century.
Okay, I like it.
Picture yourself sitting across from a seasoned diplomat or a UN representative.
All right.
Think Plato's ideas about the ideal state, philosopher-kings. You think that stuff might come up in conversation.
You better believe it.
You bet.
The Republic isn't just some abstract thought experiment.
Right.
It grapples with questions that are as relevant today as they were back in ancient Greece. Like, what is justice?
What makes a good leader?
Exactly. What are the dangers of different forms of government? These are questions that go straight to the heart of international relations.
Okay, so I'm starting to see why this book is a must-read.
Definitely.
But where do we even begin?
Well, it's a dialogue, right?
Yeah, it's structured as a dialogue.
That's really important to remember because it shows us how Plato tackled these issues. It wasn't like he was giving a lecture.
Okay.
It's Socrates, this gadfly.
Socrates.
Yeah.
Okay.
The original philosophical gadfly. He's debating with other Athenians using this method.
Which is?
It's called the dialectical method.
Hold on, back up a sec. For those of us who need a little refresher.
Right.
Dialectical method. What does that even mean?
It's just a structured form of debate.
Okay.
Imagine two people with totally opposite viewpoints.
Right.
They come together to, like, really question each other.
Not to, like, shout each other down?
No, to actually, like, ask questions, challenge each other's logic.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So through that back and forth, they actually refine their understanding.
Exactly.
It's like a supercharged brainstorming session.
Yeah.
Where the goal isn't to win, but to actually get somewhere new.
Exactly. And for our UPSC folks, that's, like, essential.
Really?
The exam isn't about just memorizing facts.
Oh, I see.
You have to show critical thinking, be able to analyze, engage in debate, all that good stuff.
So basically, skills Socrates himself would have been proud of.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm with you. So we've got Socrates in the spotlight. He's using this method to explore big ideas. But what's going on around him? What's the setting?
Ah, excellent question. It's crucial to remember that Plato wasn't writing in a vacuum.
Of course not.
No, he's in Athens, right. But this is Athens after the Peloponnesian War. So think, a city-state that's been through the ringer. It's weakened, disillusioned.
Right, and we can't forget about Plato himself.
Oh, no, definitely not.
I mean, he's from an aristocratic family.
Exactly. And he's not too keen on Athenian democracy.
Yeah, probably saw it as contributing to the decline.
Yeah, I'd say more like deeply skeptical of it.
Right, so he's writing from this place of, what, constructive criticism?
Yeah, but this is where understanding history is so key, especially for the IR paper.
Yeah, you're not just studying theory, you're seeing how it emerges from real events.
Exactly. Power struggles, social upheaval, all that. It's connecting the dots between philosophy and real life.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, we set the stage. Post-war Athens.
Right.
Socrates is sparking debates.
Yes.
Plato's got his own perspective.
Okay.
Now, let's get to the heart of it. What's the big question the Republic is trying to answer?
Boils down to one deceptively simple question.
Which is?
What is justice?
Ah, justice.
But Plato's answer, get ready for it.
Okay.
It'll blow your mind. It's not just about laws and punishment.
Okay.
He says justice is about harmony within the individual.
Oh, interesting.
And within the state.
Whoa, hold on. So
Yeah.
he's connecting personal morality to the way society's structured.
Exactly.
Okay, that's fascinating.
And to achieve this harmony, he envisions this society
Okay.
with three distinct classes.
Okay, lay it on me.
The philosopher-kings,
Okay.
guardians, who are the warriors,
All right.
and the producers,
Yeah.
like the craftspeople and laborers.
Okay, I gotta say, this is giving me some caste system vibes.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure how that would work today,
Right.
but it does raise a good question. Is there a need for specialization in how we govern?
Yeah.
Do we need people with specific knowledge and skills to lead? Or should it be open to anyone?
That's the debate, right? Experts versus the wisdom of the crowd.
Exactly.
And that's exactly the kind of critical thinking the Republic makes us do. It's not a blueprint for a perfect society.
Okay.
It's a thought experiment, something to analyze and critique, and there's a lot to grapple with, especially his most controversial idea, the philosopher-king.
Okay, the philosopher-king. I've heard whispers about this character. Tell me more. Who is this all-knowing ruler? And why does Plato think they hold the key to all our problems?
Okay, so picture this. A leader with no ambition or greed, no thirst for power.
All right, that's a tough one to imagine already.
I know, right? But just stay with me. This leader has genuine wisdom. They understand these things called the eternal forms. They've seen the perfect blueprints of justice, truth, beauty, all that exists beyond our normal world. That's Plato's philosopher-king.
Whoa, hold up. Eternal forms. We're getting a little mystical here, even for a philosophy deep dive.
Well, that's Plato for you. He
Huh.
blends philosophy, politics, and a little mysticism all into one. But the idea is that this philosopher-king isn't just wise.
Okay.
They're practically a demigod, someone who's glimpsed the true nature of reality,
Okay.
and they can guide society to this, like perfect harmony.
Okay, I can already see the problems with this. Who decide who's worthy of being a philosopher-king? What if they're a tyrant in disguise? Plus, this whole idea of a single ruler goes against everything we know about democracy today. It's like he's suggesting an enlightened dictatorship.
And you've hit upon some of the biggest criticisms of Plato's model. But here's the thing. Even if we disagree with his solution, the questions he raises are still valid. What are the qualities we look for in leaders? Should expertise trump popularity? How do we balance strong leadership with checks on power? These are still relevant questions.
Wow, this is heavy stuff.
It is.
But it's making me rethink leadership, and not just in politics, in
Oh.
all areas of life. I bet this is the kind of analysis that really impresses those UPSC examiners.
You bet. It's about showing that you can grapple with complex ideas,
Okay.
connect them to the real world, and even challenge assumptions.
Right, right. So we got this philosopher-king who's supposed to lead us to the promised land.
Okay.
But how does Plato imagine creating a society where everyone's on board with this very rigid structure?
Well, this is where things get even more controversial. Plato proposes this system of education.
Oh, education, yeah.
But it's not just about learning facts and figures.
Right.
It's about shaping people's character, instilling virtue, creating unity.
And how does he plan on doing that?
He's not afraid to get creative. Let's just say that.
Okay, this doesn't sound good. What kind of creative are we talking?
Picture this. He wants to tell citizens a myth.
A myth.
Yeah. A noble lie.
Oh boy. Here we go.
About how people are born with different metals in their souls. Gold for rulers, silver for guardians, and bronze for the producers.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
I know.
He's talking about straight up deception. That's, well, pretty unethical.
Yeah.
And who decides what the truth is in this society? This could so easily be used to manipulate people and control them.
You're seeing the inherent danger here, and this is where things get really debated. Is it ever okay to lie, even for a good cause? What are the implications of shaping how people see the world?
Mind blown.
Yeah.
It's like Plato is foreshadowing propaganda, spin doctors, fake news, the whole deal.
You got it. And that's what's amazing about the Republic. It forces us to confront these uncomfortable questions about power and truth.
And it's all relevant today, not just in politics, but in our everyday lives.
Exactly. It's in the halls of the UN, and it's on our phones.
Wow, this has been an amazing start to our deep dive into Plato's Republic. We've uncovered so much: historical context, the whole dialogue structure, the concept of justice,
Philosopher-kings.
philosopher-kings, even a little bit of propaganda. And we're just getting started.
Oh, there's so much more. Plato's critique of democracy,
Right.
his views on education, the sophists who were like his intellectual rivals.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to dig into all that.
It's all incredibly valuable for anyone interested in how political thought has evolved.
And how it affects the world of international relations today.
Absolutely.
And for our fellow UPSC warriors, remember, This isn't just about memorizing what Plato said.
Yeah.
It's about understanding all the nuances, the criticisms, the context. That's what's going to help you analyze and apply his ideas, not just in the exam, but beyond.
Exactly. The Republic is challenging for sure,
It is.
but it's also a rewarding journey.
Yeah.
It's a journey into the core of some of humanity's biggest questions.
Big questions. And who knows, maybe you'll find yourself quoting Plato in your next IR essay, or even in a future diplomatic negotiation.
That would be awesome.
All right, we'll be back soon with part 2 of this epic deep dive into Plato's Republic. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned.
Absolutely. Don't miss it. Welcome back to our deep dive into Plato's Republic.
All right, so we've unpacked some pretty heady stuff already.
Yeah, philosopher-kings, noble lies, the whole works.
But I'm really curious about something you mentioned earlier. Plato's critique of Athenian democracy.
Yes.
I mean, he was living in the birthplace of democracy, right? What was his problem with it?
You're right to be puzzled. Here's Plato witnessing the so-called cradle of democracy firsthand, and he's not impressed.
Really?
Not at all. In fact, he sees Athenian democracy as flawed.
Claude, how so?
And even dangerous.
Dangerous. Okay, spill the beans. What were his main issues with Athenian democracy?
Well, for one, he thought it was way too susceptible to demagoguery.
Demagoguery.
Leaders appealing to emotion rather than reason.
So kind of like how social media can become an echo chamber.
Exactly. Amplifying extreme views, making it hard to have nuanced conversations.
And Plato saw this happening back in ancient Athens.
Oh, yeah. He was also really worried about factionalism.
Factionalism?
Different groups constantly fighting for power,
Okay.
undermining the common good.
So basically he's saying that democracy, well, nice in theory, can easily get messy.
That's a good way to put it. He saw Athenian democracy as prone to short-sighted decisions, driven by popular opinion rather than, wisdom and long-term planning.
So he'd probably be horrified by the state of modern politics.
You think? But here's what's really interesting for anyone studying IR.
Okay, tell me.
Think about the global challenges we face today.
Like what?
Climate change, nuclear proliferation,
Yeah.
economic inequality.
Yeah, big problems.
These are complex issues. They require long-term thinking, cooperation, putting the common good above self-interest. Does that sound like something we're particularly good at right now?
Oof. Tough question. It's like we're constantly battling short-term thinking, always tempted to prioritize immediate gains over sustainable solutions. Is that what Plato was afraid of? That democracy, if not managed carefully, could actually make it harder to tackle these huge global challenges.
That's a brilliant insight. And this is exactly why studying Plato is so valuable, especially if you're interested in international relations. It gives you a framework for understanding the strengths and weaknesses of different political systems, for analyzing what drives conflict and cooperation on the world stage.
Okay, I'm officially on board the Plato train. He might have been writing thousands of years ago, but it's clear his ideas are still super relevant to how we navigate global politics today. But I'm curious, did he draw inspiration from other thinkers or models of governance?
Oh, absolutely. Plato wasn't working in a vacuum.
Right.
He was deeply influenced by Socrates, of course,
Right, his mentor.
but also by the Spartan model.
Subrata.
Yeah. Remember those warrior kings, the emphasis on discipline, military strength?
Ugh, Sparta. The ultimate example of order and hierarchy. I could see how that might have appealed to Plato, especially given his critique of Athenian democracy as a bit too, well, chaotic.
Exactly. But there was another group of thinkers,
Okay.
kind of like Plato's philosophical rivals, the Sophists.
The Sophists, right, I've heard of them. Weren't they all about rhetoric and persuasion?
Yes. They were masters of rhetoric, really skilled in the art of persuasion.
Okay.
But unlike Plato, who was obsessed with absolute truth, the Sophists were more skeptical.
Skeptical.
They believed that truth was relative, subjective. What mattered most was winning the argument, regardless of the facts.
So like the ancient Greek version of spin doctors?
Basically. It's no wonder Plato wasn't a fan.
Yeah, but to be fair, the Sophists were probably pretty good at navigating the world of politics. Persuasion is a key skill for diplomats and negotiators, right?
That's a great point. And this is where things get nuanced.
Okay.
While Plato was critical of the Sophists for undermining truth, he also understood the power of rhetoric.
So it's not that persuasion is bad, it's how you use it.
Exactly. Are you using your words to manipulate and deceive? Or to clarify and elevate? That's the key question.
It's like that fine line between diplomacy and propaganda. It makes me wonder, what would Plato make of today's media landscape?
Oh, boy.
With social media, fake news, the constant flood of information, it feels like the sophists are running wild.
It's a whole new ballgame. Can you imagine Plato scrolling through Twitter, trying to figure out what's true amidst the memes and outrage?
I can practically see him shaking his head.
Yeah.
I told you so.
I know, right? But in a way, Plato gives us the tools to navigate this chaotic information landscape. He reminds us to think critically, to
Yeah.
question our assumptions, to look for evidence, and to be
Yeah.
wary of those who prioritize persuasion over truth.
It's like he's handing us a toolkit for the 21st century.
Exactly. And that's why, even though the Republic was written centuries ago, it's still so incredibly relevant. It helps us face the challenges of a world where information is often used as a weapon, and truth can be really hard to find.
This is intense stuff, but it's empowering too.
Yeah, it is.
And for our UPSC folks, this kind of analysis is pure gold.
Absolutely. Understanding the nuances of Plato's thought,
Right.
his critiques of different political systems,
Yeah.
the importance of education and rhetoric, these are all crucial tools for anyone trying to make sense of international relations.
I'm so glad we took this deep dive. It's been eye-opening, challenging, and surprisingly relevant. But we're not done yet.
Not even close. There's still more to explore.
Okay, so we spent the last two parts of our deep dive really getting into the nitty-gritty of Plato's Republic.
We've covered a lot of ground,
We have.
from philosopher-kings to noble lies,
Yeah.
to his critique of Athenian democracy.
It's been intense.
Yeah.
But for all those UPSC aspirants out there, let's get practical.
Let's do it.
How can you use all of this to ace that exam?
So picture this. You're in the exam hall,
Okay, I'm there.
clock's ticking,
Pressure's on.
and you get an essay question that screams, Plato's Republic.
Oh.
What do you do?
How do you impress those examiners? Show them you really get it, not just surface level.
Here's the thing. The UPSC, they're not looking for you to just repeat facts.
Okay, good to know.
They want to see critical thinking, analysis, applying these concepts to real situations.
So it's not enough to just summarize Plato's ideas?
No. Think of the Republic as a toolbox. It's filled with different tools you can use to examine complex issues.
So it's like, how do you use those tools to analyze what's happening in the world today?
Exactly. Let's say you get asked to discuss Plato's idea of justice.
Okay, justice. Big topic.
Right. But in the context of modern international law, how would you approach that?
Well, you'd have to start with how Plato saw justice, like that idea of harmony within individuals and state.
Perfect. He believed that a just society is one where everyone plays their part. Everyone contributes to the well-being of the whole community.
Right, everyone in their place working together.
Exactly. And then you could connect that to the modern idea of a rules-based international order.
Where states agree to play by the rules to keep things peaceful.
Precisely. But here's where it gets interesting.
Okay, what would Plato say?
Do you think Plato would be satisfied with just following the rules? He'd probably argue that true justice requires something more. Leaders who are wise, ethical, driven by the common good, not just their own self-interest.
So it's not just about the system, it's about the people in charge. You could bring in that idea of the philosopher-king here.
Brilliant. You could argue that we need leaders who are not just politically savvy, but also deeply ethical and committed to justice for effective global governance, I mean.
Wow, I'm seeing how this works. You take a concept from the Republic and you weave it into a discussion about something happening right now.
Exactly. And don't forget about his critique of Athenian democracy. You could compare his concerns about demagoguery and factionalism to the challenges democracies face today.
Especially with social media and all that.
Right. Think about it. He was worried about the manipulation of public opinion. Short-term thinking winning out over the common good. It's like he predicted populism and the decline of trust in democratic systems.
Wow. So he's not just some ancient philosopher. He's speaking to the problems of today.
Exactly. You could argue that his warnings are more relevant than ever. With globalization, technology, and political polarization, democratic societies are facing new pressures.
This is making me realize the Republic isn't just a book. It's like a guide to understanding the world.
Absolutely. And the more you think about these ideas, the more you'll see them reflected in current debates about everything, from global governance to, the ethics of AI.
So if I'm heading into that UPSC exam tomorrow with all this new Platonic knowledge,
Right.
what's the most important thing to remember?
Remember this. The Republic isn't giving you all the answers. It's a starting point.
Right.
It's meant to make you think critically, question assumptions, Wrestle with the tough questions about justice, power, what it means to be human.
So it's about showing the examiners that you can think for yourself, that you can apply these ideas to the real world, that you get the complexities of international relations.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe someday you'll be advising a world leader, using your knowledge of the Republic to help create a more just and peaceful world.
Now that's a thought. So to all our IR enthusiasts out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into these big ideas.
Plato's Republic might be challenging, but it's a journey worth taking. It could be your key to success in the UPSC and beyond. Who knows where these ideas might take you?
And that wraps up our deep dive into Plato's Republic. We've covered so much ground, from ancient Athens to the global challenges of today. Hopefully you're leaving with new insights and maybe even a few questions of your own. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the world of ideas. Until next time, keep those minds sharp and keep striving for a better world.